There's
so essentially, if there are identical allegations being made by management and by union organizers, for example, you unfairly pulled an employee was pulled into the room and threatened. Right. If a union organizer threatened them, the penalty would be far less than if management threatened them.
Exactly, far less or non-existent. Again, only in Washington, D.C. can leveling the playing field and having a fair playing field entail tripling the penalty on one and no penalty on another.
Well, McKay, you have to know that organized labor is proposing this, not because they actually, because they think they can get away with it. Right. I mean, it's the art of brinksmanship.
Well, and it kind of goes to what's their motivation. I mean, you look at labor unions today, and many of them have been so grossly mismanaged. Their pension funds are in the toilet, and that's not that's in the toilet by the government standards. There's nothing subjective about it. They are rated critical and failing and dramatically underfunded, and this is an effort by these labor bosses to boost union membership to try to save their bacon.
They're Davis bacon. Yeah, put up. Right. I'm sorry, just that's terribly inside. If you have absolutely no idea what Davis bacon is, you can use that, by the way.
I might,
and you can attribute it to me if you're feeling generous that day. Now, the other way, I think it's kind of ironic that in the midst of all this, EFCA legislation, the payback that the union was looking for, that they were having to fight a pitched battle with the administration on the health care legislation to preserve their Cadillac benefits packages that right. They've fought for decades to try to get for their union members. A much better benefits package than either you or I will right. probably ever, unless we take money out of our pockets and pay lots of money, that the administration wanted to tax these union benefits because they were so good. And the unions have to, I tell you what, if I was a union boss or if I was a lobbyist in Washington, D.C., I would feel a little snake bit by the administration as to how much the administration really supports the legislation that I'm looking for right now.
Well, I think that there's no question that labor unions are looking for payback, and they are carrying dramatic influence in Washington today. Just this week there was a story about the political director at the White House received severance money. I forget the exact amount, but $40,000 of severance from a labor union while on the government payroll. If that's not having your friends in high places, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's the ultimate in double dipping. Right. Yeah, that's a scoop of gold and a scoop of silver.
And so they've made their plans known for this election cycle, that they're going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
They've been very transparent. I mean, they've stuck their chin out and said, hey, we're do battle again. Right. Can you stick around for a break, sure. Or do you have to be somewhere? No. You're an important guy.
This is an important seat.
Well, I think, McKay, your deference is appreciated, and if it was practiced more by some of the people in this room, I think this would be a better world that we live in here in Steve Wark in the Morning.
Try, Steve.
Yeah, I know you try, young David, and sometimes it just doesn't quite get there. What I want to talk about after we take a little news and traffic break is I want to talk about who belongs to your coalition here in Nevada, and some kind of more specific things as to what organized labor is doing here in Nevada to help what their brothers and sisterins are doing in Washington, D.C., and how do you think it may affect the campaign cycle and what happens on November 2nd?
Happy to stick around.
Well, good, and I'm happy that you're willing to stick around. We're talking with McKay Daniels. Now, McKay, you are the executive director. I want to get this right, and shame on me for not having written it down, but you're the executive director, and I know you're beaming with pride because it's the first time you ever got to wear a badge that said executive director of And what's the name of the organization again?
The Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs.
Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs.
For you, though, Steve, you can call it the Jobs Justice League if you want.
The Jobs Justice League? Good, because I have a comic book mentality. So,
exactly.
yeah, so I can, it's for greater imagery. And we're talking with McKay about the preservation of jobs in light of the legislation that's going through Washington, D.C. right now, and a long journey through Washington, D.C., and the halls of Congress having to do with what organized labor would commonly refer to as their payback legislation. It's going to have a tremendous impact on the people of Nevada. It's going to have a tremendous impact on the elections, not only legislatively here, state elections, but also probably the federal races here in the state. And we'll be talking with McKay Daniels right when we come back from a little news and traffic. Want to remind you out there, it's about 85 degrees. We're up to about 10 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. You can check us out. Steve Wark in the Morning, AM 670 on the web, streaming live. We invite you to do that. If you can hear the sound of my voice right now at 670theq.com, 670theq.com. Little news and traffic coming up, and we'll be right back. Right now in the studio, we've been talking with Mr. McKay Daniels. McKay is the executive director of the Power Ranger job thing. Wait, no. Yes, the jobs. The Keep Our Jobs Alliance. Oh man, I'm getting close. I feel it's warm. The job thing.
I'll say
stuff. Do it.
The Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs.
Alliance to protect Nevada Jobs.
APNJ, Steve. APNJ.
Oh man, my head is so full of acronyms right now. I'm choking on them. The Alliance for the Protection of Nevada Jobs. I can remember that. I'm just goofing with you, babe. You know. Now, before we went to a little break on news and traffic, we talked about the reason that you've had to do this is there is legislation, has been legislation since the first day of Congress that's been as part of the Obama administration agenda and part of its checkbook. They have to write some checks, they have to settle up some scores, some payback for a lot of work that their friends did to get Barack Obama elected, and the people who did the yeoman's work on that to get Barack Obama elected was organized labor, and there's just a couple things organized labor wanted coming out of that, but they were biggies, and we talked about how it's been interesting that usually payback is done quite quickly on the part of people who owe another party something. And this one's taken a little long, but the healthcare legislation got in the way of that.
There was a little detour on the way to the payback store, if you will, and it's been the national economy and here in Nevada, the Nevada economy. And it's interesting to note that this legislation's been around for a number of Congresses, but that it was introduced this previous session with less support than it's had previously. People who had been for it are taking a look around and saying, you know what, with double-digit unemployment, I don't think I should be pressing an issue that would cost jobs or throw up roadblocks and additional hurdles into job creation. I'm going to take a pass on this.
If we were still at 4% unemployment or 5% nationwide, this would have been pretty much a done deal, don't you think?
Perhaps, but it still was regardless of the nature of the economy, it's still a piece of legislation that throws up additional roadblocks. So even at 4 or 5%, there's still people out there looking for work and still small businesses that are struggling. But the thing that has made a number of elected officials re-examine their position, people who had been for it, I was for it, now I'm against it.
Right.
Type of thing. I think they've recognized that we can't be pushing this